Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, we're going to catch up with Rory Noland. He is back, the director of Heart of the Artist. He's moved, I think, since the last time we talked to him. He's outside of Huntsville, and he's going to invest in snowplows and milk and bread, no doubt. Right, Rory?
No, I left all of those back in Chicago.
No chains for your tires or anything like that? I mean,
no chains. My winter coats left in Chicago.
Okay.
Hey, good. Rory, did you have any of your old friends from Chicago say, hey, what are you thinking, Rory? I mean, come on.
To be honest with you, Rick, many of them envied me. Especially since the time when I announced that I'm moving was middle of January, like about a year ago, middle of January, and it was really bad weather in Chicago. And then with the shutdowns and everything, everybody was kind of down and depressed and wanting to leave anywhere.
Yeah.
Go anywhere. So, yeah, I was envied, actually.
Well, good. It's good that you're there, and it looks like you're all moved in. You got your office together, and thanks for hanging with us. We wanted to catch up with you. Heart of the Artist, mentoring, coaching, spiritual direction, doing retreats, and ministering and mentoring worship teams all over. If you check out Rory's website, the Heart of the Artist, he's got a daily praise offering, and today's is really good. Who do I say that you are? And that's a great reminder. There it is, heartoftheartist.org. Well, let's catch up a bit. Christmas for you was what? You and your family, how'd you spend it?
Well, we moved down here to Huntsville to be closer to our grandkids. So that was the highlight this Christmas. On Christmas Day, my son and his family came over, and they opened presents at their house first and then came over to our house. So it was great. And what was fun is my son asked me to teach the two older girls piano lessons, and I haven't taught piano lessons since college. That's kind of how I worked my way through college. Mm-hmm. So around October, I gave them this Christmas Carol book, and so it was their idea to play Christmas carols on Christmas Day. So
awesome!
It was fun.
How'd they do? Were you a proud teacher / grandfather?
Well, yeah, they were really into it. It was kind of like a little recital, and these Christmas carols, it's like a duet. So I'm playing a more complicated part with them, and they're playing this like melody, and they're going, "Wow, this sounds pretty cool."
I'm really good at piano.
Yeah.
Now, did you learn the piano while you were growing up at home, and did you drive your parents crazy playing chopsticks? Tell us the story before we get into more a part of the artist.
Yeah, well, I grew up in a musical home. My dad was a jazz pianist. My mom was a singer. They met doing radio together, back in the day.
Wow.
And I started piano lessons when I was 4 years old. I just started going to the piano and playing things that I heard, and they said, and my dad actually was teaching piano, so he was my piano teacher until I went off to college.
That's pretty cool. Jazz pianists to me are like so talented because they can not only play in between the lines, they can go outside the lines and play, and it's just a really cool jam.
Yeah. What's cool about jazz is you do it. It's kind of like the spiritual life is like you do it with others. It's kind of how it's more meaningful when you do it. You kind of speak in the same language and on the same wavelength.
It's like jam bands, I guess. We had the jam bands, back in the day, the Dead and some of those other ones. Did you ever have any of the leaders of the church say, "All right, Rory, bring it back in now. That's enough jamming. No more jazz. Let's bring it back to where it needs to be"?
Yes. Yes, Rick. Many times they had to remind me, you have to appeal to adults and
rein it in.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Well, hey, what's up with Heart of the Artist? You're looking here. You guys have moved to a new place. It's 2022. What's on the agenda for you?
Well, I came out with a new book, actually 2 new books last year, and the most recent one though came out in June. So it's been about 6 months. Transforming worship, planning and leading worship services, or is a spiritual formation mattered. And it seems to, 6 months out now, I'm getting some, pretty good responses, and it seems to have stirred up some good conversations.
Good. Good.
Well, I see on your website you also had, or at least it says new, the Heart of the Artist second edition.
Right.
Is that the same as the original book, and you just changed it a bit, or what's going on with the new book?
I changed it dramatically. For one thing, I updated all the scenarios and a lot of the examples. Kind of embarrassingly, they reflected how we did worship back in the 80s. So it's kind of time to change those. And,
Any that you saw that you were like, no, we need to keep that. That was just awesome when we did that. I mean, the equalizer, the synthesizer. We need more of those. Yeah.
But yeah, since the book came out over 20 years ago, but it's had a pretty good shelf life. So, the publisher wanted to keep it going. And so I updated it, for the next generation. And I added a lot of things that I've been teaching since the book came out. So, yeah, if anybody's got the old version, I highly recommend getting the new version. It's updated, revised with additional material.
Now, Rory, you're on the pulse of what's going on. You influence a lot of not just worship leaders, but churches all around the country. And I know that we've all gone through the attendance things, and I know that affects worship people, because they have a heart, they want to bring it, and just people to experience the presence of the Lord and the depth of the songs that they're doing. What are you finding? Are they calling you, texting you, emailing you, saying, hey, it's still not 100% like it used to be. What do I do as a worship leader?
Yeah, Rick, I'm having a lot of calls, and especially since the new book came out, because that speaks directly to what you're bringing up here. And this is probably some of the conversations you guys are pulled into as well. Pastors especially are calling me, and they're alarmed because the people aren't coming back to church like they thought they would.
Yeah.
And, at first everybody thought, it's because, some people are still afraid to come back. And maybe when the vaccines roll out, everything will kind of even out and it'll come back to normal. And it still hasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's caused, I think, pastors and worship leaders and church leaders really across the country to ask some really good questions, and also maybe come to some startling realizations. They're starting to questions like, maybe people have realized that they don't need us. It's like, you're kind of facing some realities, and
right.
It's how did that happen? And have we given them a reason to devalue coming together back as a gathered church?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting a perspective. But have we done something to devalue the church? I never thought of it that way. Is there a conclusion yet, or is it still in the digging? I mean, what do you say? I mean, okay, so we know that there's some adjustments that we need to make. What are those adjustments, and is this a long-term thing?
Well, I don't know if it's a long-term thing, Rick, but I think it's a serious thing that if we don't act now, that I think I don't think things are going to get, just real better right away here.
Right.
But I think a lot of churches going online, they thought, okay, that's going to save the day.
Right.
But what we realized, I think, is that that became such a comfortable thing that churches are even having trouble pulling the plug on that, even this far into 2 years after, or still in the midst of COVID. And so because they're realizing that, okay, people, they've kind of found other things to do, maybe besides going to church,
right?
Being online. They found some more interesting church services, or maybe some more interesting Bible studies. I mean, really, let's face it, you can get for most people, you can just do a search online and get some better messages than maybe from some top quality
right.
teachers that maybe you won't get every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And so I think churches are realizing, oh wow, so why do we come together? and maybe people just aren't finding it meaningful anymore. So that's why they're calling me, especially since my new book came out, because that's really what this book is about, is how to make the service more meaningful.
Especially with that local body. I mean, how do you encourage people with the words from Hebrews, not, forsaking the gathering of the body, where, yes, you can always find better teaching somewhere, I'm sure. All pastors hate to hear that, I know, but you can probably find it somewhere, and worship too. So what is it about the local body that you can't get anywhere else that we need to impress upon people that this is something that's important to God's heart?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Dan, because it's not just about the teaching. A lot of people find their affinity groups now online, and that's where they find their fellowship.
Yeah.
But I think the problem that we're also starting to see with that is that's a very pseudo kind of fellowship.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. And it's also the kind of fellowship that you choose. And so it is very affinity based. And that's really not what true fellowship is. And so I think churches are really trying to come back to, why do we gather in the first place? And first of all, the value of gathered worship, meeting together and praying together, and singing together, and just hearing God's word together. These things we do together.
That's so good.
Yeah, not with people that you have chosen by I like this age group, or I like that age group.
Right.
But really, true fellowship, the kind that really shapes us and molds us, is multi-ethnic, and it's multi-generational. It's a smattering. It's with people who hold different political views than you.
Yeah.
With different social standing. That's what true fellowship is.
Yeah. Love that.
And that's what church is.
Yeah.
I got to read that book, Rory. I got to do it. Heartoftheartist.org. If you look in the background there, I just noticed it a little while ago. Is that a cello that's back there, Rory?
Yes. Yeah. My cello, my guitars are here, the piano's in the next room. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to play cello for us sometime, Rick.
Dan, we got to have him. We got to have you back. We love having you, Rory. We never really scratched the surface, maybe a little bit. But we got to have you. You're just you're such a great guest. But yeah, we got to have you do something. I mean, we love the cello. That's sweet.
Yeah. Well, I don't play as much as I used to, but it's more of a hobby these days.
Maybe you can do a little duet with your granddaughters. They can play piano. You can play the cello. We
That'd
can
be
have a
awesome.
Concert right here on on FaithTalk.
There you go.
Give us a couple of years to look that up.
Hey, Rory Noland, he is the director of Heart of the Artist, mentoring, coaching, spiritual direction. Hey, read the book and check out the website. And also, hey, if you need mentoring or coaching, that's the place to go to. Again, it's heartoftheartist.org. Rory, we got to take a break. Thank you so much. I'd love to talk to you right around Easter time. I think it'd be really cool.
Sounds great, guys. Let's do it again.
Hey, bless you. Hey, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.